there was tension between Corey and Ashley, and it turned into one of the most infamous BGC fights of the franchise.
Get the out of my face!
And when they actually started fighting, what were your thoughts watching it from beginning to end? Like, did you think anybody got the better of the other? Hey guys, welcome back to another exclusive interview brought to you by Formation Productions and Mo Visuals. I'm your host, Maher, Ahmed, and today we're doing another Bad Girls interview with Bad Girls Club 6, Nikki. Nikki, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I don't know if some of the fans have kept up with you or not, but it has been a long time since your season. So I do want to ask, how have you been since your season has aired? It's been a while.
Yeah, it's actually, what has it been? We just hit our 10-year, I think, anniversary, because we filmed in the fall of 2010, and then it aired in January of 2011. So we just hit the 10-year mark.
That's insane. So let's get straight into it. I want to know if you ever watched Bad Girls Club before you even auditioned for the show. And if so, what were your favorite seasons prior and why?
I hadn't really watched until I was called for my interview, because I actually was called through Facebook and was like, hey, I want to come to this casting call. And from there, I researched like what the show actually was. So from there, I did watch a little bit in the beginning before my seasons. Obviously season 5 I saw because it was right before my season.
Right.
But before that, Tanisha, man, with those pans, that was like the number one thing. Like,
iconic.
I was like, yes, ruin her. So yeah.
Okay. So when you were auditioning and casting for the show, what was your experience like that? Like the whole auditioning and casting process? And
It's actually a really funny story. Like I almost didn't even go because I was actually at football practice. I was playing in the lingerie football league at the time. Mm-hmm. And the interview was like on the other side of Philly. And I didn't realize that like Philly was as big as it was. So I'm like, great. So I get on the road to like go to this interview. It's like a torrential downpour. Like I honestly don't think I remember it raining harder than this day. And I was like, well, I don't even need to go. Ended up showing up like 30 minutes late. I was part of like the last group. You could tell all these girls like, oh my God, like I'm bad because of this. And I'm just like, what the?
Trying too hard.
And I'm like watching this and, came to me and I gave my little spiel and she's like, I like you. And I was like, all right, let's do this. And so from there, it went to an interview in LA. And then from there, it was a good waiting game.
Okay, so that's when once she said that, you were like, I'm pretty sure I got this in the bag.
I really didn't even I didn't know what to expect. I was like, what kind of questions are these? But as you look at like television production and like they're filling a role, they can't have 7 of me on a TV show. They can't have 7, shopaholics on the show. Like they have to have a different role. So
exactly. You have to have different personalities in that house to make it all work.
And up until that point, they hadn't had anything like this. So
right.
We're good.
Yeah, completely different. So were your friends and family supportive of you being on the show?
Yeah, no, no one had any opposition against it. They didn't really care. They're like, oh, it'll be fun. I have some friends that were like, you're gonna regret this. And I was like, no, I'm not.
Like, do you know who I am?
And where are they today? Oh wait, single and in losers. So there's that.
Okay, so what was your first impression of Char when you two got into the house? Could you tell that she was going to be like a dominant figure in the house, or did that come as a surprise?
An attempted dominant figure? I thought that she was going to be playing the initial instinct, like gut instinct was, oh, we have a mother hen here who's going to try to run the house because she's older with her experience. And sure enough, the shoe fits.
Did you guys get along at first? Did you think she was cool?
Yeah, the thing is like, and you guys don't really see this, like, I didn't ever really have a problem with her. It was the minions that would go back to her and be like, guess what she did? And she would be like, I don't care. And same thing with me. I would be like, I don't care. So it was like, these people were trying to get us to be mad at each other when we were in fact so similar as far as not giving a shit. Like we really just didn't care. And because of that, we developed a level of respect for one another that carried through the entire season. Like you never see me and her ever fight. It's her and Lauren. It's her and this person. Sure, Lauren's my friend and I'm on her side, but I'm not going to sit here and start a fight with this person when we have nothing against each other.
Right.
After the whole suitcase situation, we were fine.
That's true. So then the next 2 people that you meet are Jessica and Corey. And I wanted to know what was it about Jessica that made you click with her so fast? And what was your impression on Corey?
Jessica was just funny. Like everything is funny. Like we literally laughed because there's a lot of the stuff that you don't see. Like we were super close for like probably the first 2 or 3 weeks. You don't really see much of that. Just getting to know each other, family history, background. Like we just clicked just instantly, personality wise. Wanted to laugh, like always wanted to have a good time. We really didn't take anything seriously, and that was like that immediate bond.
Right.
Corey, we just had 2 different upbringings. I don't have anything against her. In fact, she's actually one of my really good friends today. Oh, hi Bentley, my dog came to say hi. But anywho, yeah, I didn't have honestly any opinion about Corey. Like I had a feeling she's gonna be very girly and very like in her own world, which doesn't offend me. It just wasn't like my forte.
Bro.
Bro, I mean, like, I mean, sorry.
I should have had you do that in your intro.
Right?
Would have just been right.
Well, really, I still say it. It's fine.
So then the next 3 people that you meet are Jade, Lauren, and Sydney. Oh my God, your dog is so cute.
Okay, I'm really sorry. She just wants to be on my lap.
No, I don't care at all. Please. I'll be even more entertained.
Okay, cool. This is Bentley, the Chihuahua. Okay. I actually went blonde because of her. No, I'm just kidding.
Look, she's so cute. Wait, you said it's a girl, right?
Yes, it's a girl.
Oh. All right. So, aside from Jade, what was your impression on Lauren and Sydney when they came in the house?
Well, if we're being honest, by the time they got into the house, we were all pretty drunk. Like we were really like actually drunk. I don't really remember them actually coming in a lot, but I do remember like communicating with them. Obviously, when I saw the film, you know, the footage afterward, I was like, oh, that's what happened. Lauren, definitely the initial impression was just Southern Belle. I really didn't have like a good or bad opinion. And that's the thing, like I'm not a judgmental person. Like I always give everybody a fair chance, like of proving their intention, right? Like I don't care what you do for a living. I don't care where you come from. If you're a good person at heart, like that's going to always show through. So, you know, I assumed Sydney was more of like a partier and like more of like edgy just because of her hair color and like IDGF, like she just didn't care, you know? Yeah, no, it just, I wasn't indifferent. I think by that time when they all showed up, we were all like already halfway through the night and we're like, hey, who's this? Like, what are we doing? But yeah, no.
Yeah, I guess when you're that late into the night and you're already drunk because production's just feeding you alcohol, you're just like, look, I don't give a fuck, and I'll get along.
Well, really? We're like, hi, you live here? I don't know.
Yeah. So that being said, since you guys were already, you know, drunk and having fun and lit in the house, what was it about Jade that instantly made her a target? Was there anything that wasn't shown that pushed you and Jessica to bump heads with her?
You know, I think what it was is that like I think they came back from partying from what I remember. I'm not going off of what I saw the next day or next month on camera. They had gotten back from partying. She had come in like just really rude from partying. Like, cause we were all like, oh, hey, you know, and then she just like stormed by everybody. Like didn't say anything, didn't acknowledge. Thought she was on her high horse, and we're like, nah, this is day one. Like we are gonna settle this.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. And after all that calms down, Jessica makes the hillbilly comment that prompts her and Lauren to go at it. What were your thoughts on all that craziness? Because this was all the first night.
Yeah, dude. Let me summarize the first night. It ended with all of us sitting on the stairs eating like sandwiches. Like it was like one of us had a bread, like the bread. The other one had deli meat that we were just like rolling up and eating. And then the other person had like mayonnaise, like trying that was the end of our night. Like we didn't have a bad time. Okay. We really were just like, whoa, what did we just get ourselves into? Like, whoa, you know, it's like the massive hangover the next day where you wake up and you're like,
yeah,
shit, like, did this really happen? That made me laugh for sure. I mean, I'm not going to ever really engage in name calling initially. Like that's not my like style. Like, will I bring it up at some point? Yeah, of course, we'll go there. But to just attack somebody personally, it's not my style. So I always like to hang back and see what's going to happen. And that's kind of what we did. I was just like, all right. Little did I know it would turn into that. But
I would pay production money to roll out footage from you guys sitting on the stairs and eating the sandwiches like that.
We were just like, we were so drunk. We were just like, this is no way. Like, this is a sandwich.
That's hilarious. It literally sounds like something I would do.
It was good.
All right. So after all that, you end up ending the night rolling Jade's suitcase down the driveway, which leads into another shoving match the next morning between you two. Was there anything that wasn't shown with that confrontation?
I feel like we talked the next day, if I remember offhand. We were actually kind of okay the next day. Here's the thing. She came into the house claiming to be this persona, Then she got into the house, and then like by the end of the night was like crying. How are you gonna go into the Bad Girls Club and cry? Like, you did not want to be here to begin with. Like that's that's what I took it as. And there's hundreds of thousands of people who applied to this over the last 20 or the 20 seasons that have existed. Why are you sitting here like a stick in the mud when there are thousands of people who would take your spot? That's what I don't understand. So you're in or you're out. It's like either an F yes or an F no decision. Like there is no, I don't, I mean, you had that time. You had 3 months to decide this.
So did the cameras ever get to you? Was it ever overwhelming?
No, I mean, you just kind of learn to like live with it. I think for me, the element of privacy was weird at first. Like again, like you're going to the bathroom, like the cameras, they're not allowed in the bathroom.
You have a mic on.
Like, no, exactly. Like I would like for me personally, because I'm not disgusting. Like I would make sure that I would go to the bathroom in the morning and like get all my stuff ready before I got mic'd up, so I wouldn't have to like, I just it's weird. I wouldn't want to do that. But production, no, you just kind of get used to it. They have a job. They try to stay your way. You definitely know like the more juicy stuff you talk about, the more they come running into your room. So if you're talking about like, I like this hair color, they're like, bye.
Okay. So this has been something that the fans have been speculating for like since your season has come out. The fact that Jade may have been in the house for more than one day, which was kind of like what it seemed like when we saw it on the show. Can you tell us how long she was in the house before she left? And can you shed some light on anything that wasn't shown for the rest of her stay in the house?
She was there between 4 and 5 days at the most.
Okay.
It was not a week.
Okay.
I don't remember offhand, because remember, again, like even if she wanted to leave the next day, there are exit interviews or things she has to do. Like there's, stuff like that. So I believe by like day 3, she was like, yeah, I'm out. And I think by day 4, it was like a done deal. I'm pretty sure that's how it went down. I don't remember her being there for longer than a week at all.
Okay. I'm surprised that she was even there for that long.
Yeah, she was just, I don't know. She was young, I have no idea what she's doing today. I think I follow her on Instagram and stuff like that, but we're all very different people. Sure, our core values are like pretty much the same like we, back then. But I think just overall, some of the girls have matured since that season, which is why they didn't understand every time I was there. I was like, it's a game. This is reality television. Like if you're not understanding this, where have you been?
So you meant that when you said it's a game, like that was your mindset. It wasn't just your production telling you to say that.
No, production never told me to say that. That is me. Like I am a competitor. Like this is what I do. Like every single thing. Like I am competing with, obviously as a professional bodybuilder, I compete with myself to bring my best physique or my best package or whatever. You're on a television show. There is no like. If you're boring, go home. They're not going to keep you.
Yeah, but honestly, I mean, if she didn't leave by herself, they may have found a way for you guys to kick her out or something. So
I mean, they were surprised how many people went home because of me at the end. Because you're doing the psychiatrist before and after the show to make sure you're like.
They must have loved you.
And like literally, the first thing the therapist said after was like, "Well, you surprised me," and I was like, "Well,
They don't even have to tell you to do anything. Like as their production puppet, you just do it yourself.
I mean, I'm sure there's some girls that were like needed to have like a push or again, I don't know because I haven't been in those shoes where it's like, hey, Nikki, I need you to do like that doesn't exist. I feel like a lot of girls would come out of weekly interviews going, I didn't remember somebody saying that, or they didn't tell me that they said that. And I think that a lot of the time, some of the questions, like for example, if I would go into interviews and they'd be like, how did you feel when Lauren said this? I'd be like, well, considering she was saying that about Corey, I didn't feel anything. And they're like, oh,
because
what I mean?
Because you knew that they like mixed it up.
Of course.
Right.
And there would be times girls would leave interviews and like, fine going in. They're like, oh, whatever, coming out. Like, fuck. And you're like, what happened in the last 60 minutes?
I didn't even do anything.
We are eating. Like,
right.
What happened? And they just come out. So I think a lot of it has to do with, I don't know. I think they're not, if you're weak, like, you're going to be like, oh my God, somebody's talking about me. Who cares?
So speaking of being weak, my next question has to do with some of the pranks and the mannerisms that you pulled. And we saw a few of the girls express how they felt with their issues with all the pranks and everything. Did you pick up on that, or did it come as a shock when you first watched it?
Oh, I didn't give a shit. Like, whether it bothered them or not, I did not care. It's my house as much as it was theirs. Like, if you needed to do whatever you needed to do in order to have a good time, whether that was laying out every single day or going out every single night, then you can do that. If I'm going to be trapped in a house, which by the way, because we were living in such a neighborhood where the neighbors obviously don't like production there, we couldn't even we couldn't go outside into the backyard after 11 p.m. So you have a bunch of people in a mansion that we can't go outside and like have space. Do whatever you need to do in order to take care of yourself.
Oh, so it's basically Big Brother where you suck inside. at all times.
Literally,
Oh.
no, literally, and that wasn't the way it was supposed to be initially. That happened after a couple nights of fighting and shit, and they were like, "We're gonna cut it off," so they kept us inside.
That makes sense. How did you feel about Sydney bringing guys home from the club? Did you feel what? Because you knew she had a boyfriend back home. Did you feel differently about her?
I mean, I just don't like people that are two-faced, and at the time, her perception of who she was extremely flip-floppy. One day it was this, one day I'm single, one day one day I have a boo. Like, which one was it? You know what I mean? So if your non-boo is coming to come boo you, you should probably let him know you just blew this guy yesterday. I mean, it's for me, it was common courtesy. Because spoiler alert, he was gonna see it in 4 months anyway. And then my favorite part, which I didn't even know was actually happening, is that her upstairs was like begging, "Oh my god, like help me out, guys! Please make sure if this comes out, like she just told me, please lie for me, bitch. Handle your own business. Like what? If you a hoe, you a hoe. Like
Just say that.
Ask for help. Like fuck.
I've never understood that. I've never understood when people on TV that do stuff like that are like, oh, well, let's just not tell them. They're gonna find out in 3 months when the show is edited and it airs. Like they're gonna.
I was literally sitting on the computer when you walked by, and I was like, "Hey, by the way," even the cameras weren't even there. They're like, "Shit, what'd she just say?"
Exactly. Yeah, I've never understood it, but whatever. Some people just right. So later on in that episode, you and Lauren came to blows because you guys got kicked out of the bar. What was it that set you off enough to write on her picture and pick a fight with her?
I don't know. I honestly think that she was just like so drunk and just like kind of like, well, I don't understand like what happened, like doing one of those. And I think it was just like building and building and building. And I finally was like, what the, like, why are you still complaining about this? It happens. Like, but at that time, I really didn't get to know Lauren. Probably, I think in real time, it was like 2 or 3 weeks into the season. It was like shortly after, obviously, me and Jessica weren't friends anymore, whatever. But yeah, you know, I think in that moment, I think it was just like a little irritating. Like, we just got here. Why do we get kicked out? I think it was kind of that.
By any chances, do you recall if there was anything that we didn't see? Because they showed like her grab your face and then they didn't show anything after that. And like, I think it cut to commercial break. And then when it came back, they didn't show anything after that. Not
a thing. Like, I don't remember anything. I don't even remember that night for me personally, even being like an impactful night. I just remember being like one of the first nights out. Because her and I really didn't have beef yet, I feel like.
Okay.
Yeah. It was really just me and Jade at that point. And right. I don't even think Jade was there. Or maybe Jade was there for that one night. I don't even remember.
Okay.
We're friends in real life today. Like, that's all that matters.
That's good. And Lauren looks good too now.
So good.
She looks really good.
She actually came in. So when I had my first show of 2020 out in LA, she actually came out to that show, which was awesome. So I got to see her. Yeah, it was awesome. And I mean, we've seen each other at least like once a year or once every 2 years, either in Vegas or, you know, like this. I'm going to LA this weekend. So I'm going to text her because, you know, hi.
Yeah, of course. As if things couldn't get worse for you while this was all going on, you accidentally cut Corey's hand by ripping the purse out.
Oh my God. And that's the other thing. Like, let me just be the first to say, if there was anything intentional with any single person on reality television with the intent to harm someone, you would be off the show.
Exactly.
That's like a criminal charge. Corey had this purse that was like an old sequin purse that had a hard metal, like the clasp thing in the middle, it was just like kind of buttoned, that was very loose off of the bag itself. At one point, she went to grab it from me, she missed it, and then just cut her hand on the actual metal. So that's what really happened. When you see me laughing, that wasn't me laughing at her. That was from like 5 minutes earlier when they were like shit talking back and forth to me. And I was like, la, 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 I can't hear you. And that's what it was from.
Okay.
2 minutes later, when she went to grab the purse, that's when it happened. We wrapped her hand and everybody got in the car and we left. Like I don't know if it's on camera even later, but like her and I spoke that night. Like we made sure before she went to bed to let her know, like, that was unintentional. You understand it wasn't intentional. How are you doing? Are you okay? Do you need anything? Like, we were fine. But they left it on a cliffhanger. So of course, for a full week, I'm in like college. I was finishing my last semester of college. And people were like, oh my God. And I was like, really?
I'm like, this is how they're going to do me.
Like, you're going to really interrupt my statistics class to ask me if it's real. Like,
so that was probably the moment where you were like, damn, these editors for the show are messy as fuck.
I was like, all right. But again, like, I knew who I was by the end of the season. I was the same person. I didn't change for anybody. Nobody at the reunion asked me, like everybody at the reunion except for me was blindsided. They were all like, I don't know, I was portrayed this way, or I didn't think I knew it was going to be portrayed that way. That's why I didn't roll with anybody under this. Like, I knew, like.
That's true. So then when all your friends watch it, they're like, well, that's the Nikki we know.
That's it. I was having a good time at the reunion, and everybody else was like, me, I need attention now. I had 3 months to do nothing.
So after with the whole, purse situation, that was like when you started turning into, I guess, public enemy number one. Did you?
Oh yeah.
Like, what was going through your mind? Like, because like you said, you apologized to Corey and you thought that everything was good. So when people started coming at you, were you like, wait, why me?
People want to come at you for any reason. And like, here's the thing: if you have a problem with somebody, you can directly handle it with them. Like, you don't need to like be me too. Like, oh, I'm mad at this person. Me too. Like, no. So at that moment in time, I was like, wow, these are very weak and very petty people here. So, what's funny is that you guys don't really know this, is that remember the time where I was like sleeping upstairs, everybody was downstairs?
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with like me being upstairs. It had to do with the fact that the air conditioning upstairs broke. And we lived in the valley. It was 110 degrees. But being who I am, I was like, I'm going to stay up here. Like, I am going to sweat this out. So, yeah, there's an element of like they wanted to stay together and they wanted to be downstairs so they weren't like sweating, through their sheets. But I had the whole upstairs to myself. Like, why would I give that up?
You basically have your own house for you.
Literally, like my own floor.
So after all that, like everyone has a house meeting and they're talking about how they want you to go home. And was this your plan all along? If so, what were you trying to gain?
I had no plan, like, because I was not going anywhere. Like, not one person was going to make me leave. Like, I knew I was the last one to move out, and I knew that was going to be the way. So I just thought it was funny because I would just like sit on the balcony listening, like, your house meeting's really working. Like, okay, do something about it.
I'm not going anywhere.
I mean, like, do something about it. Like,
yeah.
Take my suitcase and move it. Like, see what happens. I will kill you.
So you thought that house meeting was completely unproductive and a waste of time?
I thought it was hilarious. Completely. I was like, oh, okay. Let me guess. You guys are doing something because you had no camera time. But again, it has to do with me. So have fun.
So shortly after that, Ashley came in as the first replacement. And I wanted to know what your thoughts were on her.
I knew right away that she'd be really good friends with Corey just because they were very similar. Mm-hmm. But I also knew because they were so similar that there would be an issue with them. And alas, there was. She was nice. We never had any issues. In fact, we met up a couple times after the show because she was here in Denver for a minute. I believe living here in Denver. And then I was obviously here. So we were cool and we've been cool. I think she's closer more with Jen. Because Jen and I are actually really good friends, but that's another subject. But I think they are. Oh yeah, I don't even ask. Like,
we'll get to that later.
Well, she was just in Vegas with me 6 weeks ago or 8 weeks ago.
That's crazy to think of that. But we'll get to that in a little bit. You know how you said that being in the Bad Girls Club was a game to you? Mm-hmm. So that being said, what was your game plan when you apologized to Sydney after telling your boyfriend that she cheated on him?
I wasn't really sorry. Honestly, I was just like kind of like, okay, let's be nice. I actually knew she was gonna go home too. Like after that like moment, she was like she couldn't handle it. There was like too much back and forth of like, it's you guys when you saw me right off the bat, you knew like she's crazy. She'll still be in here till the end. There's certain people you look at and you're like, why would you put yourself through that? And I really didn't get into too much personal information with any of them except for Lauren, really Jessica, even Char. Did we get personal on the show? I think it was more after the show, but like, you only tell people what you want them to know. Yeah,
I know. I mean, you're giving them ammunition to come back at you if you guys get into it. So, I mean, I probably won't do that either.
Like a step one, I have a boyfriend. Okay, step two, I'm blowing somebody else. that is math that does not add up. Okay, like I am confused. Like.
That's a big no-no. Everybody knew
Here's about the ammo. Take it.
Yeah, she wasn't even discreet about it, so it's like, girl.
No, it's like, what?
Why do you think Char reacted the way she did when she found out that you and Sydney squashed it?
Here's the thing. Char wanted to be really dominant and like, there's certain energies, like when you're a dominant person, you don't have to announce that you're trying to be dominant, you just are. And I feel like that's kind of how I was since day one. It was like, this is who I am. I'm not trying to dominate anything, but this is my personality and I can truly handle anything. I think for her, it was more of a proving grounds. Like, I need more people to rally and this. And it's like, oh, okay. So I think for her, I think she was just mad because she was like, we just had this house meeting and then you're turning your whatever. Like I knew my plan was to like kind of infiltrate and be like, hey, you don't have 7 people on your side. You have
Did you expect it to all end in the way it did when she started throwing your stuff outside in the pool?
So with the whole thing with the pool, here's my thing. Like I didn't care what they ruined because they were going to pay for it. So I just chilled. What I cared about is when you see me run to grab something, that was actually my wallet. And I didn't want my cash to be like ruined. That was my only thing. They could have trashed everything else. Like it's just things, which is kind of funny because when I moved from Miami to Colorado, the moving company stole everything we owned. And I was like, I've been through this shit. Let's do this. So it wasn't like, it was annoying, but I knew I'd get everybody back. So yeah, so when you see that whole situation, the only reason why I filed a police report was simply because the pen is mightier than the sword. If you have an actual police report of confirmed vandalism to your stuff, each one of you are going to pay me. And they did. Each one of them paid me like $300. So I actually made money off the stuff that I didn't care about. So
that was my next question. I was like, did anything come from the report?
Hell yeah, they picked all my shit out of the pool and I got money out of it.
So the next question that I have, it's a big one. And okay. So, by the way, I want to be very, I don't want to seem like very insensitive when I say this, but I just want to know how you think about it. So, Sydney revealed that her uncle had been bombed in Afghanistan. That's the reason why she was going home. And then Char like alluded that in her interview that wasn't the reason. And fans were speculating that Sydney may have left him because of like a drug habit. And did you have any thought of that, or did you speculate any of that while living with her?
Here's the thing. And I don't mean this rudely, I didn't care in the moment. You know what I mean? If she is going to leave a show because that is whatever her reason she is putting to the world, I am nobody to question that. Do I believe her? It doesn't matter necessarily. I've never spent any time then or now wondering if that was the truth or not. I honestly didn't believe it has to do with drugs. I mean, I think people want to like make stuff like, it could be, I have no idea, right. But she wasn't like this person who was like fiending in our house for said drugs. Like it wasn't like that. So I think respecting her request to leave was fine. But then what I didn't understand is that when she came back, it's like, if you were fucked up the first time about this, why would you come back? Like, that's my thing. Like, pick a side. So I think for me, it's just be consistent with your story. Like if you're leaving for X reason, be that reason. And nobody needs to know your business. That was kind of it. So I don't think I was insensitive neither here nor there. Because we did have a couple of good chats like before she left, and things were fine for a hot minute, but it wasn't like anything too serious.
Okay. All right, let's move forward from that because again, I didn't want to sound insensitive and you didn't either, which is good.
It's true. And I really don't know the answer to that. Like I spent 0 time then or now even ask. I don't know. I don't even follow her on Instagram. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, you mind your own business.
Exactly.
All right. So the girls start turning on Ashley, which is when Char apologized to you. Do you feel that was like a calculated move on Char's behalf?
100%. I see you. Hey.
Yeah.
Like,
you think she was trying to like include you to get you against Ashley too?
Totally. But I was Ashley's friend specifically for that reason in the beginning. I was like, oh, Char doesn't like you. We're good. We are super friends.
So you're both playing a game.
Oh, 100%. Except Char was really bad at hiding it. I was just like, okay.
That's true. All right. And then Ashley's friends made it to the house and everybody was instantly turned off by them. What was it about her friends that rubbed you guys the wrong way? Was there anything that wasn't shown that the fans should know? I personally didn't care. Once again, you're sharing a house with 7 people. People are going to do things to irritate you on a regular basis. If you show your poker hand and get into a fight, Lauren, for example. The reason why collectively everybody was upset is because there was like more than like 2 people. And they were just like everywhere, like in people's food and like the living room and the bedroom. And it's like, I wouldn't come to your house and be like, hey, I'm going to go through your shit either. So I think that was really what it was like. And number 2, like, with all due respect, you are a replacement. Like you asked for permission in this house. You don't just like have people over, you know, especially since we were there since day 1. And were they instigating while they were there? Because I saw them like one of the girls like put her finger in your face before the whole fight ensued.
Yeah, I think they were trying to like start a fight, which would give her relevance on the show once again. But I was just trying to like maintain. Like, was that the night that Corey and her got into it too?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, that was a precursor to that. And again, like I said, they were starting to kind of hate each other to begin with because it's like, oh, I'm too similar. Oh, I'm prettier. Oh, this, that. Like brows. Like the whole time, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, so this is when all of it goes down in the kitchen between, it was like you, Corey, Lauren, and Ashley.
Well, I was defending Lawrence from getting into a fight, and I was like trying to get in the way.
It all went on like really fast. So is there any way that you can give us kind of a play-by-play of what took place?
Honestly, what you saw was exactly real time. Like it went from like one part of the house, then you heard like feet running the other way, then it was like they had to leave, and then the fight went upstairs, and then I like walked upstairs. They were fighting, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna stand in front of the stairs so no one goes to the hospital tonight. Again.
And again, because it was fast, and I guess cameras couldn't be in all different places at the exact same time. So I want to try and explain some of the clips that got cut a little bit and see if you can give us some more insight on it.
Totally.
Okay, so the first one was when Corey was screaming, crying after getting her hair pulled out by Ashley, and we see you pulling her. Like, why was she so crazy about that? Because I'm assuming it was a weave, so it wouldn't have hurt that much.
I don't know. It's dramatic. She's fucking dramatic, man. Like everything with her is dramatic. Like honestly, it's great. It's great now she's a kid, and I think it mellowed her out. But I think it just in the moment, like, you're in my house. Like I think it was just really just built up, pent up, petty nonsense. I didn't think that they were gonna actually throw hands, which I thought was pretty interesting. But
yeah,
I mean, to each his own.
And then there was a small clip of it looks like Char getting into it with Ashley by the front door. Did you see what happened there?
She was just yelling. She was just yelling like, "How dare you like bring people in here to disrespect us?" Like that was what it really came down to.
Okay, and in the episode, when it showed Lauren and Ashley getting into it by the doorway. That went by in like a matter of seconds. Did you see how that one started?
It was shit talking. It was, and Lauren, when she gets drunk, if Lauren is like, I don't really understand, I'm like, oh my god, here we go, and like just get in the middle of it because I was bigger and they were not. So I was like, if I can avoid people going home, that'd be great.
I feel like that must have gone on for like an hour.
It was like a good 40 minutes. Like it really was. It was like because one part of the house and everybody, then they finally left, and then it was like more shit talking, and then it built up that one, and they were like, you know what, F this, and that's how it ended. So yeah, that was a busy night. How
did the conversation with the cops go? I'm assuming because you said the neighbors would complain, call the cops that they're the ones that did it, or was it somebody else?
The neighbors definitely did. Nobody in our house called it. No way. Did I talk to the cops? No, I don't even think I did. I was the only time I actually talked to one of the officers was specifically when my stuff was thrown into the pool. Aside from that, I was like, that's a you problem. That is not me.
So do you know if anything happened from that cop call, or was it just like you guys are loud as shit, shut up?
It was a noise ordinance, I'm pretty sure. I don't think there's anything that came out of it.
I'm like, well, are they allowed to do anything if you guys are fighting outside of the house? If it's I don't know with contracts and because you're on the show, if that does anything.
It would legally no, but because it's a film production, like on that street, like they almost have the jurisdiction because they're the ones paying for the house, not the production company. So I feel like a lot of the stuff had to be like forced inside because it was just how it is.
And you at that point you were cool with Lauren and you stuck up for her that night. So pushing them away and stuff. And so when Ashley made her return back, what was your reaction? Did you feel like she was gonna go home the other night? Because I know you said like with certain other people you just didn't care about them, but this had a situation to do with your kind of friend at that point.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that I had Lauren's back, obviously. I was still respectful to her, and I was still neutral to her. I wasn't just like, I don't like you either. But she knew where I drew the line in the sand. I didn't know how the hell did she even go home? Did she get home for that? I don't remember. No, I don't even mean this disrespectfully. Like, I don't remember what happened to her.
She didn't go home. Ashley didn't go home that night. I think she just got sent to a hotel, and then she came back.
Okay. Did she make it through the end, or did she go home sent home early?
Oh no, she went home after the fight with her and Corey, the big fight.
That's okay. So she did. Okay,
yeah.
Dude, I don't even remember. Like, I'm not even rude. Like, the ones that I remember honestly are the originals. There's some places I'm friends. Like, yeah. And Wilma. I'm friends with Wilma today too, so that's probably funny to you. She's beautiful. I love her.
Me too. Okay, so then Sydney made her return back home. I know you said you felt you were just weirded out by that a little bit. Did you at this point see her making it to the end of the show?
No, 100%.
Just because she had already left?
Hell yeah, you try to sign a weakness. Now, even if you wanted to stay to the end, I would irritate you every single day to make sure that you decided against that because you just showed weakness. So
you just thought she just like wasn't mentally strong or fit for the house.
And then also like if that's like what if you left for a certain reason, that reason you can't undo. So therefore, if you came back, you're negating your first reason for leaving, and therefore it's illogical. Like that didn't make sense to me from a legal standpoint. Like you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't
know. So we see a lot of scenes of Char expressing how immature everyone acts. Did you feel like that was ironic given some of her actions?
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, watching it back where they like put everybody in like actually their roles, I was like, this is great. And there was even a clip on the show that I did not know about where I slept walk. Like, do you remember seeing this?
I do remember that, yeah.
Dude, I was home, and because they usually sent you the video like a week in advance, and like if you had to be part of like the interviews of that week, they would send you the DVD in advance. You can go through it. I remember going through it, and I was like, "Oh my god, what?" Because I wasn't really sleeping on the show. Like I was like in bed, like I'm awake, you know. So I was really like between sleep and awake most of the time, and because I was like, I don't want anything to happen to me in my sleep or wake up to like food on me in bed. I saw what happened in 7. Like I'm not doing that. And yeah, so that was like definitely a weird thing. I was like, oh my god, I slept walk. Like, and they all knew
it was fake. I thought it was scripted. Like I thought you did that as a joke.
100% real. They caught it. I don't remember any of it. Like even when we talked about it, because I texted them all after that happened, I'm like, what did you say to me in the makeup room? And they were like, you didn't say anything. We were just like, Nikki, stop playing, go to bed. And I was just like standing there, and they're like, oh, and I'm like, oh, and I just went back to bed. It was weird.
So I wanted to know if there was any like unshown clips of or something that you remember that Char may have said that was really immature, that was like contradicting, that you can tell us. Is there anything that you remember that just is stuck in your mind? You're like, that was the funniest thing she's ever said because it was just so ridiculous.
Honestly, this is so stupid. But if you remember in the limo when she was like, why are you guys still talking? Shut up, you're from Kentucky. It's like the smallest state in the country. I'm like, actually, Rhode Island.
You're in Kentucky. It's like the smallest state in the world.
Actually, Rhode Island is, but you wouldn't know that.
That was the best thing ever.
I mean, first of all, I don't even know where that came from. Like, of course, Rhode Island's a small state, but like, who would have thought that in the middle of like a drunk argument?
Right.
Number 2, it pissed her off so much. Like, it was like one of the best insults / reactions of the entire show, in my opinion, because she was just like so mad about it, like goofy ass, and we're like,
well, there's like nothing to say after that. You know?
No, it's like you could have just stopped.
It's just like, damn, why did you just call me out on being uneducated?
Totally.
All right. So Sydney comes back. You guys go to your trip to San Francisco, and she decides to get up from the dinner table and get upset, and she packs her bags and goes home. Is there a specific reason why you felt like she chose to leave and instantly started telling you guys?
No, I will say San Francisco, we were like that first time we were really drunk. I don't know. Like I said, I think she was just dealing with personal stuff. I think it didn't have anything to do with the Bad Girls Club, honestly. I think it was just her like, dude, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can make it. Like, I mean, you can't go 3 months and not say anything. So if you're not able to like speak how you feel or, stand up for what your perspective is, right? Like, don't get me wrong. I am not an argumentative person in real life. If I'm on television and somebody says something that's going to irritate me, we're going to have this conversation right now because you're on television. In real life, you let it go. And I think for her, I think she realized that she couldn't keep that shit up for that long. It's exhausting. I told you I was slept walk. Like I was not sleeping in that house hardly at all. And I only drank 2 days a week. I was the DD the other 5 days a week because we only could get the limo 2 days a week. So for me, I never wanted to be in that house because number 1, we couldn't go outside. Number 2, I'm in Los Angeles. I want to have fun. So I took the DD role just so I can go out and be with my friends. And so that was the thing. So I really just feel like she was just like extrapolating. Oh my God, how many more weeks of this? Like, I think that's what it just came down to. And it's exhausting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You're on somebody else's clock. You can't go to certain things. You have to go to the nail salon by yourself, getting groceries by yourself because camera crews don't go there. So there was a lot of separation and compartmentalization within a reality television show that I think you have to be okay with being alone and being okay with your thoughts. And those two things, if you're not with either one of those, it's not for you.
There's a reason why so many bad girls have said that being in the bad girls club is like being in jail.
100%. Because remember, you go into that house doing whatever you wanted, whenever you wanted, and the life you live. You get to a house with limited internet, limited phone, cameras everywhere, and there's rules.
And everything being recorded.
Literally.
Like
so that
on
would
your mic, like everything.
Yeah, and that would piss anybody off. So I think it was just really a matter of like my ego stepped in hard and was like, listen, you're gonna be perceived a certain way, make it good. Like I didn't want to be that person that was at the reunion mad how I was perceived, or I didn't do certain things or whatever. And I get this question a lot, like, would you have done anything differently? No, I was true to my personality the entire time. I did not budge for anybody. I did not do things that I didn't want to do. I was like, this is what you got.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And you're right. You stayed true to yourself the entire time and never changed.
That's why the reunion is fun. I was like, oh, who's going to throw hands next?
It's a whole show for you. It's just Jerry Springer for you, right?
I mean, I'm here for it. Like,
me too. Moving forward a little bit, when Char and Lauren got into it in the makeup room, Corey stepped in for Char. Is there a reason why you didn't step in for Lauren when Char and her were going at it?
Fight your own battles. Like I stepped in the middle of that one with Ashley and her to defend Lauren, because if Lauren got touched, then there would be a problem.
Right.
In this case, like Lauren could handle it. Like I wasn't there to rescue her. She wasn't there to rescue me. It was just really more of a respect thing. Now, had she been like, yo, I need you, separate there. But she looked stupid. Like, look at that. Lauren against two of them. Now Lauren is the victor in that situation. Like, you're good.
Okay. And soon after that, Jennifer made her entrance into the house. And I want to know what your first impressions on her was.
It's hard.
You learned she's from Jersey.
It's funny because like we're really good friends. So like to have to go back to this is like, oh my God. You know? Honestly, I really like my first impression was her spray tan is horrible. Like it was just so orange. And that was like it. Like as soon as I saw the orange, I was like, oh my God, now you're an Oompa Loompa. Like, Tanorexic. We had like there were so many nicknames I could go with this. And she was very bougie. Like that was her role. Like she was Housewives of New Jersey status, right? So I knew she'd probably be really good friends with either Corey or Ashley. No, Ashley wasn't there. Ashley was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I knew that, again, there was a ticking time bomb. When you're friends with people that are very similar to you, it's a ticking time bomb, because especially girls of that caliber, they're going to find things to pick on each other with because they're too similar. Yeah. So I was like, this is going to be good.
Char started with you and Lauren one night in the limo, and it led into the house where Jessica steps in, the whole, the plate and all of that goes on. Did you feel that Jessica was being a follower, or did she have a right to get involved? Since Lauren said, where are your followers? I
just think that by that point, people were just like, I need to step up and do something, or I'm not going to be relevant, honestly. Honestly, towards the end, like, we were all friends at the end. We wanted to go home. We were just like, dude, we have nothing left to fight with. We have nothing more to say. Like, I remember when we had the last replacement, which I think was Wilma at that point, they came in and put a bunch of alcohol in the kitchen and nobody touched it. We were like, why? We don't need to have alcohol to somebody come in the house. But, well, we're going to go out. Okay. Again, I don't need to drink. So I think by that time, I think people were just like, oh my God, let's be friends. Like, I can't do this anymore. But on the flip side, I do feel that our season was the most unique of all 20 seasons. I really do. We had the most genuine bond, like, of the season. We were all like, if you look at every single one of us now, they have all done something. They are moving forward. They're not thirsty for like more attention on reality. Like they're not overweight trying to be a fitness trainer. Like, let's be real. Like there's certain things that people are doing in our season that are actually making an impact. And I will say, like, I respect that about our season. I don't have anything bad to say about anybody in their season. But that's also because I respect them as women and as individuals doing what they're doing. Like, who am I to judge your life after a 3-month snippet when we were living together in hell? Like, I can't.
When all that happened, when Lauren was arguing with Char and then Jessica stepped in, did you at that point think that Jessica was like a lost cause, or were you disappointed and thought that hopefully she would like come around?
I always hoped that Jessica kind of woke up on the show, because you don't go for, like, I was really close with her. Like, her and I were closer in a week or 10 days than Lauren and I were, like, the entire time of that show. Obviously now it's different because we're friends, in real life, but I was close with her. We just hit it off. So I feel like at that point she was just like kind of lost. Like her character had gotten lost, like, not meaning like her character, like I'm a good person character, like her as that badass Chicago, like that was lost, you know, and I knew the entire time that she was going to be portrayed a certain way, and I think me letting her know that would piss her off, and therefore she was kind of like resent me during the show. But then when it came out and it aired, she was like, oh, like she knew. She was like, I think you guys played me and this, that, and the other. They don't make anything up. Like they will film you doing things that you do, and they might put them in different orders. You know, for example, the hand situation, or there's one night where you see me going out with blown out hair and I come home with curly wet hair. You know, there's things that don't add up. But at the end of the day, everything that you physically did is going to be aired. So you have that opportunity to kind of change the course of action.
There's only so much they can do with editing.
Yes.
They can't edit someone's personality, you know?
No. And she had a great personality. I think Char took advantage of her, if we're being honest. I think Char knew that she could get Jessica for two reasons. Number one, that me and her were close at one point, thinking it was going to affect me. Yeah. And then number two, I think it would make her, you know, more dominant from Chicago, same area. No, it wasn't.
And shortly after that another situation with Lauren and Char goes down, and it went from the computer room to the phone room to the bedroom and the hallway, and the fight ended up in Char crying after Lauren hits her. Were you at all worried that Lauren was going to potentially go home after all those confrontations with Char?
Yes and no. Like I was afraid for like a second, but then like at the end of the day, like Lauren's like that, like, you know, like how a floppy like golden retriever is just like kind of funny, and like Lauren was that person from Kentucky. Like she wasn't a fighter. She wasn't somebody who was gonna like come and stab you. So I feel like in that moment, I was like, let her have her fun. If she needs me, she'll let me know. Like, because she would get so mad. I just don't understand. I'm like,
yeah, you guys knew how to get to Char's. Like you knew how to push her buttons, and it was hilarious to watch.
And 100%, if it was the other way around, like if Char was the one alone and I was with all the minions, Char would not have lasted either. Like that was, I mean, they did not talk to me for like 7 days. It was great. I had the car to myself because everyone wanted to take the car, and each car only had like 4 seats, right? So if I took the car, they were fucked because there would be somebody left at the house. So no matter what, I got to go where I wanted to go. I went on dates by myself. Like I was having a great time.
I would love that if I was in that situation. How did you feel about what Char crying? Like, did you think that was kind of ridiculous considering she started a lot of these instances and like kind of instigated people to put hands on her, which I'm not making an excuse, but you know,
like actions have reactions, right? Like if you're going to instigate, if you're trying to play tough and you're trying to like be this leader, there's no crying in baseball. Okay. Like you have to like keep it together. Do I think that there was just a lot of estrogen and like buildup and like hormones that are like just her, you know, being close to menopause at that time? No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. I think a lot of that, like when you get so heated and you're just like in this situation and it's like things that are going on and like it's an accumulation of things. I think she just got to that point where she was like and mad. I don't think she was genuinely crying because she was like upset. Like no.
Yeah, well, she said that she was crying because she was like, oh. She actually put her hands on me.
Actually, you're right. I just couldn't believe that she put her hands on me. That's actually right. So disrespected. That's right.
No.
Like, you were
it was like the second you put your hands on me, because she was, I mean, I'm not trying to also sound insensitive when I'm saying this, but she compared it to when her father, I think, put her hands on her. So she was like, once you put your hands on me, it takes me back there.
But at the same time, you don't spit words that would warrant somebody to put their hands on you. You know what I mean? Like, it's like somebody who's like, it's like getting hit. If you spit on somebody and you get punched in the face, it's the equivalent. You know, you spit on somebody. That's a bodily function. I think with her, you know, again, if that is a trauma that you're going through, the last place you should be, number one, is the Bad Girls Club. And number two, you should have what, you know, in case of an emergency, if that situation arises, what is it that you're battling? So I don't think at the time, I don't know. I think at the time, we didn't really think much of it. Do I doubt that that's a reason why she cried? No, I'm not negating her feelings in this moment. It's more of just, I think that we were just like, why are you crying? Like,
and because you and Jennifer, you weren't cool at the time, but you also didn't have issues yet. But she, out of the blue, turns on you and Lauren after having dinner with the other girls. And I wanted to know what you thought of that, if you remember what was going on back then, and if you saw it coming. Like, was there anything that wasn't shown?
There was nothing that was not shown that way. I assumed the minute she was going to dinner she was going to side with them for two reasons. Number one, at the time she was weak. You came into a house as a replacement and you're going to side with the bigger group so that you have more people on your side and you look like a better person. Going back in time, I think she would have realized differently, knowing that that group was. At that point though, Lauren and I were such a strong and a good bond. Like nothing could come between us as far as nonsense stuff was said. If somebody was like, oh, she said this, we were like, oh, no, it wasn't. Like we just knew. We were like, I can't.
Yeah, you guys just didn't give a shit at that point. You were like, if you want to do it, that's cool. If not.
No, and like Lauren and I had a really good time. Like once we actually discovered that bond, we were like, dude, this is awesome. Like let's make a king size bed. Let's like fucking do things. Let's go to let's do whatever. And like we would go shopping and like we just did a bunch of stuff that was like fun. And they just took it way too seriously. And we were like, no.
Yeah, back then I was too like young to even think about drinking. Now that I'm older and I'm like watching back the clips of you guys going out and drinking, I'm like, they look like that'd be a lot of fun to hang out with.
I mean, we kind of are. Like Lauren and I literally ran into each other in Vegas one year and we like bumped into each other. We're like, ah, and we just like raged. It was awesome. Like,
okay, so Jen starts going off on you guys again about like the whole phone situation.
Oh, right, because she wanted to use the phone all the time.
Yeah, did you feel that that was like an opportunity to establish whose side she was on, or do you think she was actually upset about the phone?
She was upset about the phone. Like it's Jen. Oh, she wanted to be on the phone. I don't remember what was going on personally in her life at that time that required her to be on the phone so much. I just think she didn't have any friends in the house. Like it was by that point we were over the halfway point in the house, I think. And I think for her, it's hard, dude. Going to the Barros Club is hard to begin with. Coming in as a replacement, no, thank you. Like, no. Like, if you are a replacement, literally, if I were to come in as a replacement, in my head, I would think full body armor, everyone's going to hate you, and you have to start from the bottom up. So I think from her, it was just like a safety net to like have mom or dad to just like somebody to talk to, versus having to share anything with us because you can't trust anybody.
Yeah. And it can go like one or two ways. You could literally come into the house, have every single person against you, or you can come in the house and have a really warm welcoming, which is pretty rare in the Bad Girls Club.
Totally. And I always let people decide what their fate will be before I meet it.
You weren't like super aggressive or anything when people came in.
Never. Listen, this is your chance. Like if you are gonna like, and I think that's what bothered me with the whole Jade situation is like she came in and was like, I don't like she walked right, like I literally was like, oh, like what's your name or something, and she just walked right by me and I was like, excuse me, like hello, like
what I do to you,
like, but literally like comment hello if you can't even say hello. We live in a barn, like what is this?
Right. So in the midst of Jen going crazy and she went and punched your picture, and I like asking the behind the scenes questions or like the production questions that we usually don't find out. Did you ever find out if she got in trouble or fined for that?
They probably like find her, I'm sure. I actually didn't remember how that was broken. Like I just know there was shit all over it. Like,
were you mad about your picture getting broken?
I was like, what the? I really hated that picture anyway. Like it was okay. Like please break it. Like no, she probably did get fined. I mean, we did a bunch of shit to each other. Like it wasn't like 2 weeks later. I opened my protein powder and this bitch put coffee in there. I was like. But it's okay because I mailed her a dog muzzle to her home in New Jersey to shut her up, and she got that also, so it was even.
How did you get her address?
How did I get it? One of the girls I had get it. I forget how I did, but I was like, oh, what's your address? Because I know you're leaving and I want to be able to like send you stuff, and I got the address from that.
That is so fun. Did you ever get a reaction on that? Like, did she hit you up and be like, what the fuck?
No, we were not cool until like recently.
Okay. Have you guys talked about that?
No, but I'm gonna have to text her after this. Like, that.
You should just be like, next time we hang out, can you bring it?
I mean, but I remember she had put like, because here's the thing, you really couldn't mess with anybody's food. Like, if production knew that your food was messed with, like that's illegal. Like you can't, like they can't knowingly watch somebody poison somebody else, essentially. So like, she definitely put the coffee in my protein powder when no one was around, and she definitely put vodka in my fish oils when no one was around.
Holy shit.
But that's okay. I put her toothbrush in the toilet without anybody being around me. So.
And with her destroying the picture, what's funny is that after your guys' season, I'm pretty sure that's when they started being a little bit cheaper with the pictures. Because I think season 7 was when they just did like the cutouts, and then maybe a couple seasons after that they had more expensive ones. But like it got to the point where it just turned into posters. Because all your stuff that were getting destroyed, like the nice, like
here's your paper plate.
Yeah.
Here's this fake mansion.
Just
do you remember those bags when me and Wilma made the fake Gucci bag? It was Gucci. Yes. That's basically what Bad Girls turned into.
Yeah, basically. I mean, it's like, here's your permanent marker, here's your plate, draw your face on it, and then that's your cast photo. After all this happens with Jennifer, there was tension that was brewing between Corey and Ashley, and it was from Corey taking Ashley's credit card at McDonald's or wherever they were at and using it. And fans believe that Corey was actually jealous of Ashley, and that's why they had a lot of more tension. Is that anything that you may have picked up on, or did you feel that there was animosity that was deeper?
Here's the thing: when you're extremely like someone, you are going to not like them, because they are a literal mirror reflection of who you are. So I feel like with the two of them being girly and like super into like their makeup and their lashes and all of that stuff, I think it was sensed as this like underlying competition between the two of them, that they felt like they kind of had to like prove to one another, like, no, I'm this, no, I'm that. And I think at that point, any little thing, Corey was like sensitive in the house. Like but again, it's 10 years ago. We're young, we're like emotional, we're hormonal. Like she was just very like excitable. Like if something were like to annoy her, she was like, I don't understand. And I'm like, ugh. So I think it was really that they were just so similar. And you're in these circumstances where you're like, okay, who's more important? And then even if you group it into the whole Playboy interview, they were 2 of the 3 that were picked. So again, another similar competition. So I just feel like insecurity got the best of both of them, and that's how it like kind of turned into.
I wish they could have just been like really cool with each other and be like, hey, you're pretty, I'm pretty, let's click up. Because they probably would have been good friends, but then that iconic fight wouldn't have happened.
Exactly.
And we're going to get into that because the tension keeps building up and it becomes pretty obvious that they're about to duke it out pretty soon. And I wanted to know before, trying to blank out what you actually saw from the fight. Before that happened, did you feel that there was going to be one of them was going to have the upper hand over the other?
I really didn't. At that point, anything could go. Honestly, like, you have no idea. Like, past this all, fuck you! Like, you have no idea. Like, it doesn't matter. So I really didn't know what was going to happen. I think it was a ticking time bomb. I actually didn't think Corey fought at all. I didn't think either one of them fought, honestly. So when that went down, I was like, oh my God, shit, okay. Like, just wait. Because security's like trying to break it up, and I'm like, hey. I mean, did I ever want anybody to get hurt? No, God, nobody ever wanted anybody else to get hurt or intent to hurt somebody. But if we could have avoided like, $10,000 of plastic surgery to somebody's face going down the stairs, we can hopefully do that. So
yeah. And like you were saying, like being like, oh, past assault, fuck you. It's like being in a house like that in that environment, knowing that it's a Bad Girls Club. I think just having that in your mind makes it almost easier to get into such a stupid, dumb argument. Where in the real world, that half of those arguments would have never happened.
And that's what I was saying about towards the end. We all were like, we get it.
Yeah.
This should be irritating 6 weeks ago. Nobody cared. Like we kind of had this like unspoken bond where it was just like, we don't care what production says at this point. Like, we just want to go home. And that's why I think our exit, if I remember correctly, was more of like a nice exit and one at a time. And then and we were yelling over the balcony because that was really how we left. Like, we were sad to leave that experience because we knew at the time it was very unique and very different, and we didn't know where it would go or the magnitude of it. And, but I definitely cherish those times with these people because we got to live an experience that was one of 20, that was one of 20 seasons and super iconic. And I don't care where you left on the show and what time you left on the show. We did this together. And if I would have run into any of these people in public, Sydney, Ashley, got any of them, I would stop. Hi, how are you? Like, regardless if I follow them on social media or care for their persona. Like, that's, hopefully that's everybody, but that's definitely where I'm at in my life. So
I hope so, because I'd be like, dang, it's been literally 10 years. I hope we've gotten over the stupid beef that we had in that house, because I'm sure you would all get along if it was, again,
totally.
Real world,
Totally.
So, going back on the Corey and Ashley thing, before their fight, there was the situation in the bedroom, and Corey pushed Ashley. She flies against, the window flew pretty far. And there was a clip, I don't know if it was in the trailer or like in the preview of the episode, where Ashley kind of like came back and tried to swing on Corey while she was sitting on the dresser. Do you know if that was like an unaired like round, or was it just that and then you guys like separated them?
It was so fast, I don't know. And the way that the stairs were that I was blocking, the entrance to the bedroom was a full doorway to the right, so I couldn't actually see into that dresser because it was like around this like curve.
Exactly what you're talking about. I'm looking at the house right now in my head.
Yeah. I mean, I can say the whole floor plan. It's super easy, but yeah, I think they were just so mad, and it was like again, ego. It's like, I'm this. All right. I didn't think that Ashley was gonna go home over it, but I also knew at that point when I knew when Corey pushed her, Ashley didn't give a shit. She was like, I'm done. Let's do this.
And when they actually started fighting, it turned into one of the most infamous BGC fights of the franchise. What were your thoughts watching it from beginning to end? Like, because like you said, you didn't think either of them fought, and that was like one of the most brutal fights I've seen on the show.
I think for me, number one, it was good to not be in the center of it. I was hanging out. I was like, dude, not me today. That was the first thought. Number two, I was like, damn, these girls are tiny. Like, they are mighty, but they are tiny. And then number three, I was like, damn, they are angry. Like, they were mad. Like, there was some deep-rooted, like, drunk-ass anger of, like, 10 years of accumulated non-bar fights that should have been bar fights that exploded in this moment from two different people. And I think it was just, I don't want to say it was like a Napoleon complex, but now that I'm looking back onto it, I think it was like a battle of like the mighty, and may the better short one win. I don't know.
Did you think anybody got the better of the other?